Beneath the old hospital, everyone in Blackwood knew about St. Alden's Hospital. It was a crumbling monument at the edge of town, abandoned, gutted by time, and surrounded by rumours darker than the broken windows and rotting walls suggested. They said strange lights flickered behind the cracked glass, and at night you could hear faint screams floating through the misty trees. But none of that mattered to Jason Carter. He had a mission. His little sister Mia disappeared 2 days ago, and the last place she was seen was near St. Alden's. Jason tightened the straps on his backpack, adjusted his flashlight, and climbed through a hole in the fence. The sun was already setting, bleeding orange across the sky. Soon night would come, and with it the whispers. The heavy doors of the hospital creaked open with a painful screech. Jason stepped inside, the air immediately colder. The place smelled of mold, rust, and something faintly metallic, like old blood. "Just find some clue," he muttered to himself, sweeping his flashlight across the dusty lobby. "Find Mia. Get out." The beam caught tattered curtains, overturned wheelchairs, and broken medical equipment littering the halls like the aftermath of some forgotten war. His footsteps echoed as he made his way deeper inside. Jason paused at a long hallway. To the right, a staircase spiraled downward, deeper into darkness. A small handprint, smeared in something dark and dry, was visible on the wall next to it. It was the size of a child's hand. "Mia," Jason whispered. Without thinking, he descended. The basement was worse. Down there, the darkness was alive. His flashlight flickered weakly, barely cutting through the thick gloom. Pipes dripped overhead. Old generators stood dead in the corners. The walls were cracked, revealing the earth beneath, as if the hospital itself was being swallowed whole. As Jason crept forward, a sudden noise made him freeze. A dragging sound, something wet and heavy sliding across the floor just ahead. He pressed himself against the wall, heart hammering. He peeked around the corner. Nothing, just a long, endless corridor lined with doors, all slightly open as if inviting him in. Jason tightened his grip on the flashlight and moved forward. He checked each room quickly. Empty, empty. Another empty bed, a rusted IV stand, peeling walls, nothing. At the end of the hall, however, one door stood out. It was newer than the others, made of solid steel, and someone had spray-painted over it in red. "Don't open," Jason hesitated. Every instinct screamed to turn back. But then, faintly from behind the door, "Mia?" It was her voice, weak, afraid. He couldn't leave her. Jason grabbed the handle. It was cold, too cold. He twisted it. The door groaned open. Behind it was a narrow stairwell, descending further underground. A smell hit him immediately, rot, filth, and something worse. It turned his stomach. "Mia," he called. A sob answered him from below. Jason descended, each step creaking under his weight. The walls closed in tighter, as if the building itself wanted to crush him. At the bottom, the air shifted. It was wrong. The concrete gave way to packed earth. The ceiling sagged low, thick roots snaked across the floor, and carved into the dirt walls were faces, screaming faces, thousands of them, distorted, mouths frozen open in eternal terror. Jason's breath caught. He stumbled back, and that's when he heard it. A soft, skittering sound, not from in front of him, from behind. He spun around, flashlight swinging wildly. For a moment he saw nothing. Then, movement. A shape, long, thin, impossibly fast, darted just out of the flashlight's reach. Jason ran. He sprinted down the uneven tunnel, dodging roots and rocks. Behind him, the skittering grew louder, closer. Something was chasing him. He spotted a metal door up ahead, half buried in the earth. He yanked it open and dove inside, slamming it behind him. Breathing heavily, he scanned the room. It was massive, an underground operating theater. Rusted surgical tables sat in rows. Strange machines lined the walls, their purposes unclear and horrific. Jars filled with cloudy liquid and things floated inside. In the center of the room stood a figure. It wore a tattered hospital gown, its head wrapped tightly in stained bandages. It stood unnaturally still, facing away from Jason. Jason slowly backed away, but the door he came through was gone. Vanished into solid wall. The figure moved. It tilted its head as if hearing him. Jason held his breath. The figure turned, slowly, revealing a face with no features, just smooth, pale flesh where eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. It pointed at him. Jason ran. He barreled through another door, down another corridor. Every step, the walls seemed to pulse and breathe around him. Finally, he burst into a small room. And there, huddled in the corner, was Mia. "Mia!" Jason cried, running to her. She looked up, and Jason froze. Her eyes were hollow black pits, her mouth stretched too wide, splitting her cheeks. When she smiled, it wasn't Mia anymore. "You came for me," the thing whispered in her voice. Jason stumbled back, horrified. The walls around him began to shift, revealing countless other faces, all twisted, all wrong. They stared at him, whispering, laughing. "No," Jason said, "you're not real. You're not real." But the thing that looked like Mia crawled toward him, bones cracking with every movement. "You can't leave," it said. "You belong here now." Jason turned and ran blindly, crashing through door after door. The halls twisted, looping back on themselves. No matter where he went, he ended up back at the room with the fake Mia. Time lost meaning. Minutes, hours, days. Jason couldn't tell anymore. The whispers grew louder. The faces in the walls grew more desperate, reaching for him with clawed hands. In one brief moment of clarity, Jason remembered the stories, the rumors about St. Alden's experiments, about how the doctors had tried to cure death itself, about the things that had gone horribly wrong. The hospital had been shut down, buried, forgotten, but the things they created never left. They lived beneath. Jason realized there was only one way out. He couldn't run. He couldn't hide. He had to destroy them. Using the last of his strength, Jason ripped a rusted pipe from the wall. He swung it at the faces reaching for him, shattering them into dust. He smashed the machines, the jars, everything. The hospital screamed, a deep, bone-rattling sound. The walls cracked and split open, earth pouring in. Jason ran toward the collapsing ceiling, dodging falling debris. At the very end of the tunnel, he saw it, a faint light. Freedom. He sprinted, lungs burning. The thing that wore Mia's face shrieked behind him, chasing him, arms outstretched. Jason dove through the opening just as the ground caved in, burying the horrors forever. He woke up in the grass outside St. Alden's. The sun was rising, birds were singing, he was alive. But when he looked down at his hands, he saw faint, ghostly handprints, small, childlike. And from deep within the earth behind him, he thought he heard laughter. The end.